Hello, I'm Chef Philippe van Gijzelen, hailing all the way from Belgium. In this video, you will learn how to make molded bonbons with a distinctive Belgian touch, the Advocat chocolate bonbons. We will prepare the filling based on egg yolks and alcohol, and then spray and cast the molds. Ready to start? Let's start with the egg yolk filling. For the ingredients, we will need 240 grams of egg yolks, 250 grams of sugar, 450 grams of unsweetened condensed milk, 120 grams of cognac, and 75 grams of pure alcohol 94 degrees. For the tools, we will need heat the condensed milk, sugar, and egg yolks using a double boiler until 85 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, the emulsifier of the egg yolk will help thickening the mixture, similarly to a crème anglaise for pastry recipes. Strain the mixture into a mixing bowl and cool down to 40 degrees Celsius. It is really important to add the alcohols only once the mixture is at 40 degrees Celsius or even below. Indeed, if the temperature is higher, the alcohols will evaporate. Add the cognac and the pure alcohol. Mix with an immersion blender and cover with a plastic film. Store for 14 days in the fridge at 10 degrees Celsius and let mature. Then remove the egg yolk filling from the fridge and store at 16 to 18 degrees Celsius. We can now start to prepare the molds. For the ingredients, we will need Kelbo Brazil single origin dark couverture, white and yellow IBC colored cocoa butter. For the tools, we will need we will first crystallize the colored cocoa butter. Shake well the bottle of white cocoa butter and transfer into a piping bag. Cool it down on the table. Then cut the tip off and transfer into the spray gun. Make sure that the spray gun has the same temperature as the colored cocoa butter. Spray the pre-crystallized white cocoa butter onto a small rack placed over the molds to create some line effects. It is important to always keep the same distance and angle between the mold and the spray gun in order to have an even application of color into the molds. Right after, place the molds upside down onto a paper towel and clean well. Repeat the exact same pre-crystallization process with the yellow cocoa butter. Once the yellow cocoa butter has crystallized, transfer it into the spray gun and spray it over the entire surface of the mold. Right after, place the mold upside down onto a paper towel and clean well. Then directly after, spray one last layer of pre-crystallized white cocoa butter over the entire surface of the mold. This will create a better contrast between the colors. Let's set at room temperature between 18 and 20 degrees Celsius. Once the colored cocoa butter has set, mold with crystallized dark chocolate by using the automatic tempering machine. Remove the excess chocolate with a palette knife. Put the mold facing up on the vibration table to remove all air bubbles. Then place the mold upside down on the vibration table to create the shell. Finally, place the mold upside down on a tray lined with parchment paper. Wait for a few minutes for the chocolate to set. Then use a scraper to clean the surface of the mold. Let the chocolate crystallize at room temperature between 18 and 20 degrees Celsius. When using the half-sphere mold, I personally prefer not to place them into the fridge before the bonbons are completely closed. I do that in order to avoid the half-sphere to start contracting and moving into the molds, which will complicate the process of closing the molds. Transfer the egg yolk filling into a piping bag and cut a small tip to control the flow. Pipe into the molds. Make sure to leave enough space, at least 1 to 2 millimeters, within the top to close the molds later on. Gently shake the molds to flatten the filling. Don't tap the molds on the table to prevent the half-sphere's shells from moving, especially when the shells have already contracted. Let's set at 20 degrees Celsius overnight. For the ingredients, we will need Calbo Brazil single origin dark couverture. For the tools, we will need with a heat gun, slightly warm the top of the molds to barely soften the edges of the chocolate shells. By doing so, we ensure that the shells and the pre-crystallized chocolate will join together perfectly when closing the molds. Using the palette knife, pour pre-crystallized dark chocolate from the automatic tempering machine. With soft fillings, it is really important to even the pressure of the pre-crystallized chocolate on top of the filling. Otherwise, the filling will move up and start mixing with the pre-crystallized dark chocolate. Place in the fridge until the chocolate has contracted. Then, unmold the bonbons onto parchment paper. The Advocat bonbons are now ready to be enjoyed. In this video, you have learned how to create a long shelf life filling that can be prepared weeks or even months before. You have also learned how to play with colored cocoa butter to create a specific visual effect. Starting with the white colored cocoa butter, we reduce the intensity of the following colors used. When using sweet fillings, with or without alcohol, I would recommend to always use dark chocolate for the shells for two reasons. The first one is by doing so, your bonbons will have the right balance between sweet and less sweet ingredients. And secondly, alcohol-rich fillings tend to soften milk and white chocolate, which will not be the case when using dark chocolate. Thanks for following my video today. If you are curious about more specific techniques and recipes, please share with us. See you!